Remember the mission of the Sword of Light.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wesley's Event Center.
You're under arrest.
In this video, we're going to be talking about Brian, the Fire Ranger that can cause chaos to your enemy. But be careful though, because reading his third skill's description might cause chaos to your own brain. First, let's talk about Brian's defining skill, his Mastery. Brian deals increasing damage when his allies' HP are not full, and when he dies he will deal a massive physical nuke to the enemy with the lowest HP, starting at 1500% at turn 1 and going down by 100 for every turn after. This mastery means that your opponent is very likely not going to touch your Brian until he's the last unit remaining, giving him some free reins to attack. There are quite a few counters for this ability, death immunity being the most obvious of them, but it's also mitigated by physical shields. Brian's normal attack doesn't really have anything special to it, but it does deal quite a good amount of damage. Brian's second ability deals a moderate amount of damage, can chaos the enemy if you've unlocked its passive, and also marks the enemy hit by this, which allows Brian to gain a damage manipulating stack from his ultimate by hitting them with his basic attack. Brian's third ability is a bloody essay. Who the hell wrote this? Basically, this ultimate is an AoE ability that increases damage dealt to the handcuff target depending on how many stacks Brian have. I will explain this more and demonstrate it using a clip later on in the video. In my opinion, his passive unlocks are mediocre okay-ish, the most important one being 2-2, 2-1, and 1-1. For his weapon enhancement, I recommend the generic DPS build, which is Dexterity, Dexterity, 2 Mastery, 1 critical damage, and 1 critical hit rate. You can't go wrong with this. Brian's rotation usually begins by using his second ability because he wants to start managing his stacks. Using this skill will automatically give Brian 1 stack of Inescapable, puts 1 stack of Warrant in the enemy, which can be seen by the handcuff, and also have the chance to fear his enemy or chaos them if you've unlocked the passive. You can Warrant bosses, you cannot chaos bosses, and whenever a unit dies, when they have a warrant, because they were killed by someone who is not Brian, this handcuff will transfer to an enemy on the side. It will not transfer if Brian kills the enemy. This is really important and also annoying. As I've mentioned before, Brian's ultimate ability damage distribution depends on how many Inescapable stack he has. I have compiled a few clips to show you the possible combinations of stacks that he have and the distribution of damage that he will deal to the enemy. As you may have seen from the compilations, his damage distribution is pretty fine, but there is a risk of dealing less damage when you are using max stack ult, because your damage to the main target may not crit, which in return will cause you to lose so much damage. But of course, Brian's main one-shot potential lies in there, so it is a risk that you might have to take if situations occurs where you have to one-shot someone with your ult. Brian synergizes well with Rand or Yansuchi because their ability deals damage to your allies, which in return gives him his mastery damage increase. This is even more apparent so in PvE content where the enemy may not deal any AoE damage to you. He doesn't synergize well with healers, unfortunately, because whenever your allies are healed to max HP, he loses his damage percent up. His biggest weakness is cover or tremble, because it'll prevent him from taking any action. His biggest annoyance is death immunity mechanics, or damage immunity mechanics, because your ultimate unfortunately does not bypass those mechanics. However, the more you play Brian, the more you will instinctually understand when your enemy will use or when they will pop their death immunity. So you will kind of learn how to play with it, but so will your enemy. So be mindful about that. Currently, Brian is deemed as one of the worst units to use in the game. But that being said, he still has his uses. I personally have cleared the current hardest PvE content in game with Brian, so I think any character is usable. His biggest weakness is his mediocre lowish damage, but in return he has a very constant damage that you have full control of. As a whole, I think Brian is a very interesting and cool character. He has one of the best voice actors in the game, sharing the same voice actor as Hector from Fire Emblem. He has a really good story, in my opinion, and for some of you who may feel guilty about being gay or are in the closet, I think you will be able to relate to his story very well. If you are interested in acquiring Brian, his banner will be available soon after the release of this video. If you have any questions regarding Brian or any comments about the character, feel free to leave it in the comment section below or message us through the official Discord. Thank you everyone for your time. I'm Asher from WESLEY'S Event Center, signing out.
Should I apprehend you? You sure? It's dangerous getting close to me. No need to tell the world about your confidants.